Hello, hello, hello. Good day, everyone. So, I just recently, this is Nee Morris. I'm sorry, I didn't even introduce myself. This is Nee Morris. I am the founder and owner of Make or Break. And it's an organization that does multiple things, but we'll talk about some of those things later. But anyway, what I'm here to talk to you about is the clip, Steve Harvey's clip, What I Taught My Son. I just recently watched it and I had to comment on it. Like, I'm not a public person or a YouTube person, or when it comes to putting myself out there, totally. But I had to comment on it. I was watching the clip and it was a young man there talking about wanting to reconnect with his dad and feeling like if he did, there would be so much animosity from his mom about him doing that. And I just cannot even begin to tell you um, how I could totally relate to that. Just a little backstory, because I didn't want this to be very long at all, but just a little backstory. My husband and I have known each other since we were kids, since we were teenagers, and we started dating when I was about 17, and we went on. We dated for a while, and then we had a son together, and we split. We split like shortly after he was born. So I moved, off to another state and pretty much raised my son, by myself. So for 17 years, my son, he doesn't remember seeing his dad. Like, he didn't remember anything about his dad. And, throughout the years, I would constantly talk to him about love and about, I would be positive with him. I would definitely tell him that his dad loved him. Like, your dad, when I said I love you and your daddy loves you too. And, just remember that, both your parents love you. When he was really little, I used to tell him, like, your dad is, your dad, when he was old enough to understand, and he would ask, like, where's my, where's my dad? I would say, oh, he works really, really hard. And, he has such a mean boss. And if he could be here, he would, but he can't because, his mean boss won't let him off work today. I would say stuff like that. So I would say stuff like that, and I would do multiple things to ensure that he felt loved. Now, again, that's just me. That was my way of doing things because I wanted my son to grow up feeling like he was loved by both his parents. I didn't have that growing up, but I wanted that for him. And I was like, I want anybody to ever feed any negativity into him when it comes to one of his parents. So I just made sure that I was always positive, or I stayed in a positive state of mind when it came to him in reference to, his father. So I definitely encourage, no matter how hard it gets, moms, dads that are, because sometimes it's a dad that's raising the kids. So moms, dads, whoever, always stay in a positive state of mind when you are speaking to your child about the other parent. Trust me, it will make or break them as they become older and as they become adults. So fast forward, my son wasn't around his dad for 17 years. There were some things he did, in between there, and he would ask, how can I get in touch with my dad? Or, unbeknownst to me, he would be at school actually looking on the website, looking on the internet, trying to figure out if he could find his dad because, he knew all the details about him. And I had, gotten married to a different guy. So he had a male role model in his life, but he was still wanting his dad. So anyway, and again, I remember what I said. I stayed 100% positive. I put any feeling I had to the side, and it was all about just making sure that he grew up knowing he was loved. And don't think, like, oh, well, it was easy for you. No, it's not easy for any of us, but you do it for the sake of your child. I worked 2 and 3 jobs to provide for him, to make sure he had what he needed, to make sure he participated in everything that he wanted to, and he went to different places and he experienced things. So no, never easy, but my pleasure. It was my pleasure. It was a gift from, I consider my child a gift from God, and it was my pleasure taking care of him. And I wanted to make sure he was whole. And so I was going to do my part. No matter who else did or didn't do their part, I was going to make sure I did my part to make sure that he was happy and whole. So fast forward to back what I said about him coming to me and saying, I want my dad. I need my dad. Oh my God, he needs him. Now me, again, I didn't understand. I'm like, need him? Like, I've given you everything. But I put that aside and I was like, okay, if he feels like he needs him, then I'll do what it takes. People, let me inform you, he needed him. My son has always been an outstanding, great young man. He became a greater man. He became a greater young man, and to this day, a great man, because I did not hinder his relationship with his other parent. And I encouraged it, and I always made sure that that he had that belief that there was 100% love from both of us. And I cannot even begin to explain to you what a difference that makes in a child's life. He and his dad have the best relationship ever. It confuses him sometimes why some of his siblings don't have that same type of, his siblings on his father's side, don't have that type of relationship with their dad, because he's really confused by it, because he's like, what? We have the best dad ever. But that's because that's the positivity that I instilled in him. And I don't think some of his, well, I know that his most of his siblings, the other parent didn't give that to them. Like, it was always negativity about, their dad. And so that's what they grew up with. That's their frame of mind. He can't relate. He doesn't understand that. He has nothing but 100% love for his father, and there's no anger or animosity. Like, he is in a state of total bliss when he is in his father's presence, even when he hears his father's voice. But again, that comes back to me. Moms, dad, I'm sorry. It is the parent who is present. You determine your child's outcome, not the absentee parent. You're giving that parent too much power when you're like, well, my child is angry like this because, no. You're giving up too much power. Listen to me. You instill in your child that love and that happiness, and trust me, whatever comes or whatever doesn't come from the other parent, your child will be able to face it. You encourage it. You encourage the love. And I believe that, whatever the relationship is, let that be determined by the child and the other parent. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Don't get me wrong. It's not always 100% bliss, but you do your part. You do your part, and don't make your child feel as if it's a choice. Like, I have to choose between my mom or dad. No, you don't. You can have both. You can have the best of both worlds if each parent makes it possible. I know there's some parents out there like, look, I don't want to be a parent. It is what it is. Okay, we get that. But you give your child the best that you know how to give, for as long as you know how to give it. And your children should not ever, small adults, feel like they're doing something to you if they reach out to another parent. So that's just my 2 cents that I wanted to give. Just remember, you make or break your children in whatever you do, especially since you're the one in their presence all the time. So love your babies and put your needs, put what you feel aside to do what's best for them. See you next time.